Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, you have previously stated that your number one priority for the FBI is to end violent crime in the United States. The budget request slashes the FBI budget by more than $500 million below the current level. It quite literally would defund law enforcement, including, it would appear, cutting a number of FBI intelligence analysts who work on critical national security issues. How is it possible to cut more than $500 million, or more than 5% below a hard freeze in the FBI's operating budget, without impacting the law enforcement and national security-related functions of the FBI? Please specify exactly which positions would be cut.
Ma'am, at this time, we have not looked at who to cut. We are focusing our energies on how not to have them cut by coming in here and highlighting to you that we can't do the mission on those 2011 budget levels. And so what we're focusing on is right now is working with our partners in OMB, the appropriators, to say that we cannot cover down on the mission at the levels that we would have to go to, which would be the 2011 levels, should all the budget cuts you just outlined be implemented.
So, but are you talking about coming up here with a budget request that restores the funding that has been cut, that it's a defunding law enforcement? You're talking about $500 million below the current level. How would you restructure the budget to get to what you need in order to be able to make sure that we are not defunding law enforcement and that we are not cutting the analysts that you need in order to be able to do your job and to be dealing with national security issues? I don't understand. You've got a budget request, $500 million less, and you're cutting people. You don't know who you're going to cut. You don't want. Tell us which it is. Are you going to restore that $500 million? You're going to request restoring that $500 million?
Well, as I said, I'm not the budget expert, but the budget request that we put in, the FBI, was $11.2 billion, I believe. And we are working through the appropriations process and the OMB process and the skinny budget that we've received to work with y'all to help us get to a number. And I believe if we got back the number you stated, we would not have to cut more FBI.
So with a $500 million cut, more than 5% below the hard freeze of the FBI's operating budget, you believe that then this would not impact enforcement or national security related functions? Then what are the positions? I'm going to ask the question again. What positions are you looking to cut? What is the cuts for this $500 million? Now, apparently that $500 million, you're not in the budget department, but this is your budget. This is your budget. You have to have some idea of what you want to fund or not fund, or where you think you can cut or not cut, and provide that information to OMB. I'm unclear, and it seems to me that you are, as to what should be the budget of this agency, and if it's $500 million lower, what are the positions that you believe will have to be cut in order to reach the mandate that you are bringing forward to us in terms of your budget?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the proposed budget, not by the FBI. The proposed budget that I put forward is to cover us for $11.1 billion, which would not have us cut any positions. The proposed budget.
So the skinny budget is we don't have, the skinny budget is wrong.
The skinny budget is a proposal, and I'm working through the appropriations process to explain why we need more than what has been proposed.
So
in that budget.
What do you need? You need $11.2 billion?
Approximately.
Okay. Now, is that going to be delineated? I don't know what that means in terms of cuts that would be coming up to reach that goal. So there would be no additional positions deleted from the FBI if you get that amount of money.
That's correct.
And that's what we anticipate is coming in a budget that we anticipate at some point. We don't know when we're going to get it, even though we will be in markups by the time this effort is underway. But according to what we have received from the FBI, there are 904 positions that are currently slated for transfer from Washington, D.C. to field offices that are currently vacant. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is, what, is there any explanation of why these positions are moving to field offices? One of the things we can't seem to get answers to, and this is not you, is programs that are being deleted, programs that are being frozen, dollars are being frozen, programs that are being cut. We don't have any sense on this committee, which is the Appropriations Committee, and making a determination of what we should or shouldn't do, is any evaluation from any agency so far, and I ask this of you, what is the criteria? What are the programs that are going to be potentially left behind? What is the evaluation process here that says why these programs are no longer functional or not working? What is the story? Can we get from you when we're going to get some sort of an idea of what is a budget that you can deal with? Is what will be, what may be cut, what may not be cut, and why? What's the criteria by which that these programs would be, the evaluation is to transfer them out? Or why are these people going to field offices? Can we get that from you?
Yeah, I can give it to you right now, ma'am. The short answer as to why these folks are going to the field is because we are moving agents, intel analysts, and SOSs across the country into every state to get a hand-level grasp on violent crime in every single community. We're moving those folks out there.
Okay, but I just will wrap up, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. You need to provide for us, specify exactly which so-called, quote, overhead positions are being cut, and since other federal agencies are also proposing position cuts, how won't this cut inevitably reduce the FBI's intelligence analytic capabilities? We need to have that information before we can determine what the budget is.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Yield back.
Mr. Klein, DelLuro, or any remarks she wishes to make.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for holding this important budget hearing. I also want to say a thank you to our witness, Director Kash Patel, for appearing before the subcommittee today. And as my colleague Tom Cole said, welcome back to the House of Representatives. So a well-functioning, well-funded, well-led Federal Bureau of Investigation is critical to the safety and the security of the American people. The men and women of the FBI are dedicated public servants who work diligently and often in dangerous settings to keep criminals off of our streets. But unfortunately, the Bureau's civil servants have been the focus of demeaning and destructive attacks from this administration and its allies in the media, which endanger and undermine the administration of justice in this country. The American people expected President Trump to address the high cost of living, but the president is not laser focused on the cost of living crisis. He is actually making it worse. Instead, he put Elon Musk and billionaires in charge of our government, and they are attacking civil servants who are not loyal to him, but to the Constitution and to the rule of law. This administration is deliberately undermining agencies that protect the American people. The president is more focused on attacking political opponents than attacking high prices for everyday essentials. And the American people are paying the cost while the president embarks on an agenda of revenge, retaliation, and retribution. And he is attempting to wield the FBI to those ends. Undue political pressure from the White House to investigate political opponents or to quash investigations of political allies threaten the Bureau's credibility and the very foundations of the rule of law. The FBI director must shield the Bureau and the rule of law from political pressure, not act as an instrument for implementing the president's political hit list. President Trump's immediate removal of senior officials at the FBI upon his taking office strikes me as an especially naked attempt to purge the Bureau's ranks of anyone who does not profess loyalty to the president. This happened the day after you told members of the United States Senate, and I quote, There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as FBI Director, end quote. The administration's retaliation against those who helped bring violent January 6 insurrections to justice and the ensuing dismissal of the head of the FBI's New York field office under your watch puts that pledge in doubt. Quite frankly, the Bureau's leadership appears at best somewhere between acquiescent to the president's retributive urges and in absentia. By instilling a culture of fear and retaliation, you're undermining the Bureau's employees and undermining the Bureau's ability to stave off terrorist attacks and keep violent criminals off of our streets. The FBI plays a critical role in intelligence gathering and analysis. The FBI does not bring just criminals to justice, it foils terror plots. With a weakened and discouraged Bureau workforce, Americans are less safe because of this administration. Even though we received President Trump's concepts of a budget plan on Friday, we are now into May without a real budget from the White House. I'm eager to learn about how the FBI would continue to fulfill its mission with a proposed $545 million cut to salaries and expenses, especially with the suggestion that the Bureau should reduce or eliminate, quote, duplicative intelligence activities that are already effectively housed in other agencies, end quote. If the Bureau plans to cut intelligence analysts, at the same time other intelligence agencies are enacting broad cuts to their workforces, the administration will be making our government and the American people more susceptible to violent criminals and to terrorist attacks. The FBI exists to protect Americans from criminals. The American people deserve assurance that everyone will be treated fairly and equally under the law. They are not seeing that from the Trump administration's FBI under your leadership, and we must receive clear and convincing answers as to why that is. I look forward to your testimony, and I yield back.